Inner Quest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Welcome to Inner Quest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today. I'd like to start out by thanking Infinity Foundation, a nonprofit organization in Highland Park, for bringing us such great guests and teachers, such as, please introduce yourself.
My name is Puranpreet Kaur Fiore.
Well, welcome. And I'll tell the audience a little bit about you. You teach Kundalini Yoga throughout the northwest suburbs. You're also a vibrant member of the Kundalini Yoga training team at Spirit Rising Yoga in Chicago. You play sacred music band called Preet. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's Preet, yes, which means love.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to radiate.
Absolutely.
And that performs internationally. Your greatest passion is sharing sacred vibration through Kundalini Yoga. And you want to start out, what is this?
This is a gong, which is an instrument that we utilize quite a bit in Kundalini Yoga. So it often comes in at the end of class when we're ready for relaxation, and we just let the waves and the vibration of the instrument wash over the room to kind of seal the effects of the experience and to just allow people to really relax into what they've experienced.
And is this something that, this is yours?
It is.
Is this something you would play at your own house or residence?
Not typically. Generally, it's used to administer to other people so they can receive the effects of the gong.
And you have given gong baths at Infinity,
I
right?
have, which have been fantastic.
Good. So why don't you tell our audience, what is Kundalini Yoga?
Good, right. Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini Yoga is an old, ancient form of yoga. And what we're doing when we practice Kundalini Yoga is we're really tapping into our creative potential. And to really explain it, I need to explain the difference between Kundalini energy and Kundalini Yoga.
Okay.
So we're all born with an energy, and it resides at the base of the spine. Now, for most of us, that remains dormant unless we do something to awaken it. So we practice Kundalini Yoga to awaken Kundalini energy. Now, when the energy awakens, what happens? It rises up the spine, and what's really happening is that energy, as that energy rises, it awakens our consciousness. It awakens our awareness. And when that starts to happen, a lot of changes in life can start to unfold.
And isn't both the yoga, Kundalini Yoga, and energy predicated on having a Kundalini practice?
Well, yes. Yes, like I said, generally speaking, the energy will remain dormant unless we do something to awaken it. So Kundalini Yoga is a main tool in which we can start to really wake up.
And what would you recommend, how many minutes per day, or what type of practice would you recommend, say, for somebody?
Sure, I think what's most accessible to people is to just come to class. There's a lot of classes throughout Chicagoland area, and typical Kundalini Yoga class is going to be 60 to 75 minutes long. Additionally, there are literally thousands of Kundalini Yoga exercises, meditations, various exercises that you can do at home. And we invite people, if they're ready at that level, to do an exercise for 40 days. And that's when we start to do something on a regular basis. That's what can start to invite and instill a change for us.
Okay. Now, yoga, if I remember correctly, means yoke or union.
Yes, right.
And what is getting yoked, or what is the union?
Right. What we do when we practice yoga, you're right, to yoke, to unite. What are we uniting? We are uniting mind, body, and spirit. That's what we're doing. And we do that through the practices and the different components that are inherent in a typical Kundalini Yoga class.
And when somebody starts to practice yoga, what kind of changes have you noticed as a teacher and a trainer?
Wow, people come in, well, there's a lot of immediate effects. Typical immediate effects are that people feel more energized and they feel more alive and awake, and they often leave class feeling full of energy and kind of excited to go
So
about
they
their
might
day.
come in at 7 o'clock at night, tired from the day, and have more energy after
Exactly.
the yoga class. I
Or
would agree.
We often practice very early in the morning, this particular practice. So sometimes people come in, we practice at 7 a.m. or sometimes earlier, and then they kind of just initiates the energy, and they carry that with them through the day, and it supports them.
Yeah, I notice my days are very different on the days that I practice yoga and meditation versus a day, well, I don't miss a day of meditation, but
Good.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And you also have your own yoga studio?
I do. I operate Creation Yoga, which is my studio in Wheeling, and we have classes there, we have gong meditations, and it's just another place to come and experience the practice.
And is there a reason why you chose the name Creation Yoga?
Creation Yoga, Kundalini energy is part of the spark of creation. So I just saw that connection, and when the name came to me, it really stuck, and it's just one that I really want.
It's a creative idea.
It was a very creative idea. It kind of, raised my own awareness around some things.
So describe some of your typical students at Creation Yoga.
Sure. Well, people come in, most people that come into Kundalini Yoga class are ready for a change. And so we have people that come in who are very open, they're willing, they're teachable.
You mean it's not the wives dragging their husbands? Or
Well, that happens too, but it would be common that husband might not return. If you're dragged there, you probably won't come back. But the typical people that come are just ready for something in their lives. And generally the practice speaks to them, and they're pulled into the practice. This is very different than a typical yoga class. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know like Hatha Yoga, they emphasize the yamas and the niyamas, the moral, the ethical
Yes.
aspect of yoga. Is that emphasized too?
Absolutely. Kundalini Yoga is based on Patanjali's 8 limbs, of which the yamas and the niyamas are a part of. So we do have that foundational base as well. It's very important.
And do you discuss that with your students?
This is a practice of energetics, of subtle energetics. And I'll take a little time now to talk about the difference between a Hatha class and a Kundalini Yoga class. So in this country, your typical Hatha Yoga class will be mostly posture focused, which is wonderful. We have tremendous respect for Hatha Yoga. It's posture, it's kind of physical, it's posture focused. In Kundalini Yoga, what we have is many more components that are part of that class. So along with postures, we can certainly embrace postures, we also have meditation. We have pranayama.
So meditation is part of every class?
Meditation is part of every Kundalini Yoga class, yes.
And do you start with the meditation or do you end with the meditation?
We generally start, we'll tune in with a certain mantra being another component of Kundalini Yoga class, and then we go into pranayama, which could be thought of as a meditation, yes.
Well, I would think the mantra would also be part of meditation.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's typically how we finalize class. We'll do a nice mantra meditation, which is one of the components of Kundalini Yoga class that has a tendency to really draw people in, is the chanting.
Now, is everybody chanting the same mantra, or they're using their own personal mantra?
We do group chanting, which strengthens group consciousness and really just solidifies the experience for everybody.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were explaining the what goes on in a typical class,
Sure.
and we got a little sidetracked.
Oh, that's okay. Sure, so we have, in addition to postures, we have pranayama, which are the formal breathing practices of yoga.
And what kind of benefits do students get from practicing pranayama?
All pranayams, of which there are hundreds and hundreds in Kundalini Yoga, are calming.
Okay.
So if we're just going to talk generalized, all calming and just relaxation and
What a way to start the day.
Oh my gosh, what a great invitation that we have to embrace this. So that's a fantastic, or even at the end of the day, if people are rushing in and they're a little bit late to class and we sit down and we start with pranayama, it kind of just calms everybody, gets them on the safe wavelength so they can then go deeper into that class.
Now, do you recommend your students do pranayama at home for stress or anxiety or
Absolutely.
nervousness?
Absolutely, it's certainly, they're certainly welcome to, and again, there's hundreds and hundreds of pranayams that address anything from the mental to the spiritual to the physical so there's all types of options to experience pranayama.
And so, given that you train teachers, you really must know these hundreds of ways to do pranayams.
Fortunately, they're written down.
Okay.
So that's another difference between Kundalini Yoga and other types of yoga is all of our sequences, our pranayams, our meditations, our mantras are written down. So we're fortunately that the teachings have been transmitted in a very clear and authentic way.
Now, I'm familiar with chakras. Do you and nadis, do you also work with energy to get to specific chakras, or energy's too much? Do you try to take it down a notch or spread that energy out?
Every Kundalini Yoga set, we'll call it a set, what it's really called is a Kriya, of which, again, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in Kundalini Yoga. All of the Kriyas do three things. They strengthen the nervous system, they balance the endocrine system, and then they also balance the chakra system. So chakra balancing is every time you come to Kundalini Yoga class, you're balancing your chakras. So it's a major component of the experience of Kundalini Yoga.
Now, is the balancing of the chakra, is that because of the intent? Do the students even know they're balancing their chakras, or they just know they feel better afterwards than when they came in?
I think it depends on what the student brings in. Some people come into class and they're aware of the chakras and their function and what they do, and they've experienced or studied them. Other people are not. So I would say it just varies a little bit.
Okay. And so after the pranayams, what's next in your typical class?
We do pranayama, and then we go into that physical set of which we call a kriya, which is where we embrace our postures generally in Kundalini Yoga. And again, a posture, a set can be anything from, we could do postures to heal the liver. We could do a kriya to reset your aura. We could do kriyas to open the heart. We can do kriyas to release anger. So you can see the range in which we access and heal different aspects of our beingness are interwoven throughout this practice.
Do you as a teacher decide what type of asanas or postures you're going to do before class, or you just get feedback from the students and kind of leave it open to what's needed for the day?
Well, I will pick the exercises we're doing in class before I go to class. So I'll pick the pranayam, the kriya, and the mantra. I pick that all out. But once they're set, I have mentioned that these are written down. We never alter the order of those exercises because they've been transcribed by the masters, and we just trust that the masters knew exactly what they needed to do. So we would never.
How many years ago did the masters transcribe these?
Wow, the Kundalini Yoga has a vast, vast history, and there are some exercises that go back as far as 20,000 years. So it's a practice that's been around for a really long time. 20,000. Not every exercise, but it's just something that's been with the human experience for
And where did
a long time.
Kundalini Yoga start? In India?
So we should talk about our master teacher.
Okay.
We're so blessed that our master teacher, his name was Yogi Bhajan, and he lived in India, and he felt called to bring Kundalini Yoga to the West under much dismay in India. So his life was threatened, etc. So in 1968, he came over, he landed in Canada. In 1969, he came over to Los Angeles, and what happened was he started teaching and he got all the hippies off drugs. So it was his life's work to bring these teachings to the West.
The era.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's been said that in his very first class, nobody showed up, and he taught anyways. And now Kundalini Yoga is taught all over the world. So he sacrificed many, many, many things to bring this practice to the West.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
He died in 2004, which was a little before I really delved into this. So I missed that opportunity, but I learned from him in subtle ways. So he's still with me.
Okay. And when you trained, did you go to India to train, or?
No, I did all my training here in Chicago.
Okay.
So I'm really blessed that we have the main Kundalini Yoga center, as we've talked about, is Spirit Rising, which is in the Ravenswood neighborhood of Chicago, and I'm blessed to be part of that training team. And my trainers there, the lead trainers there, Shiva Singh and Shabad Kaur Khalsa, were very fortunate. They got to study with and serve Yogi Bhajan for decades. So there's a lot of wonderful teaching opportunities here in Chicagoland.
Now, do you want to say something about the outfit that you're wearing?
Sure.
Okay.
So some people will get online and they'll look up Kundalini Yoga and they'll see all these people in white. What I really want to emphasize is that for students, you don't have to wear white. We want students to come in and just be comfortable and wear clothes that are very comfortable, because we stimulate a lot of energy when we practice Kundalini Yoga, and we want that energy to be able to dance freely throughout the body. Now, teachers are required to wear white, and I'm very proud to wear white. I love my vesture, my bana is what we call it, and we do that for a lot of reasons. White is a very pure color. It represents serenity, and that's something we want to project when we're teaching. White is also, if you mix all the lights of the colors of the chakras, what you get is white. White also strengthens the auric field, our magnetic field, which in this lineage is the 8th chakra. So we wear white because it represents a lot of what we are embracing in this practice.
And then you're wearing a necklace?
Yes.
Yes,
this is a symbol from Sikhism. This is in a language called Gurmukhi, and it says Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar means one creator created everything. So we, in this lineage, we embrace the vast oneness.
Great. Now, what about a diet? Is there any particular type of diet that's recommended?
Sure. We strongly recommend. Again, this isn't necessarily something we ask of new practitioners, but as teachers, I can say, and people who have been with the practice for a long time, we stick to a vegetarian diet. And we think that the idea behind that is to keep the body pure, because we're stimulating a lot of energy, and we want that to be able to move freely throughout clear channels in the body. And
and yoga emphasizes nonviolence.
Absolutely.
You know, the great Martin Luther King was nonviolent and led a revolution.
Yeah.
But really, he got that from Gandhi, who I believe borrowed it from yoga practices.
Very, very possibly.
Yeah.
The idea behind not eating meat is that if we eat meat, we believe as yogis that when that animal was slaughtered for consumption, that there was fear there, and that we'd be consuming the emotion that's then in that flesh, and which would be fear, and we wouldn't want to bring that into our psyche.
So do you start to be aware of energy of places and people when you start to advance in your yoga practice?
There are some very specific benefits of Kundalini Yoga. One of them is it strengthens all the systems of the body. When I say systems of the body, I mean the circulatory system, the respiratory system, the endocrine system, the reproductive system, lymphatic system, chakra system, etc., etc. That's one benefit. Another benefit is that you start to drop bad habits. It becomes easier to drop bad habits. Some examples might be, let's say, maybe you drink too much caffeine and you know that's not supporting you in your health and wellness, or you stay up too late and you're tired in the morning and you got to be somewhere. Those are examples. Another, and this is answering your question more directly, Jay, is that our intuition starts to open. So we do a lot of focus here at the 6th chakra to stimulate the pituitary gland, and when that starts secreting its fluids, its natural fluids.
Can you actually feel that? Your pituitary gland?
That's at times, yes, and that's one of the reasons I wear this turban, is because it emphasizes the opening of that center of the body. And then when you start to intuit, we have this sixth sense to rely on in life besides just our intellect.
And people often refer this as the third eye?
It sometimes is referred to as the third eye. Not so much in this lineage, but yes.
And I notice some Far Eastern friends, like say on Divine Ambient, they'll often wear like a dot or something.
That would be from a different lineage than Kundalini Yoga.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, what is the difference between Kundalini yoga versus more traditional posture yoga.
Right, right. So, yeah, we can return to that question. So, Hatha yoga is very widely embraced in this country, and it's kind of how yoga was introduced in this country. And around here, it's kind of like exercise systems that are based on yoga. And we really respect Hatha yoga. It has a tremendously rich tradition, but it is posture focused. As I was saying before, Kundalini yoga, it invites more components. So you're going to have the pranayama and the mantra and the visualization and the gong in every class, where you don't necessarily get that. And the function of that is that it allows you to go deeper and potentially to experience more.
And speaking of the gong, can I get you to...
Sure, we can play a little bit here.
Love it. Love it.
So the gong offers some different things. It can be used for meditation. So it can be used as if you go to a gong bath, that can be actual meditation
And that's
practice.
something you have done for Infinity.
I have done it for Infinity, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which has been great. Great crowd there. So it's been wonderful to be able to bring the gong into that space. So it can be used for meditation, it can be used for healing, or it can simply be used for just to relax.
Yeah. I noticed you started hitting here a lot and you ended hitting here. Is there a reason for that?
Well, there's different points on the gong. So we have the chakras that go up the middle of the gong. And I was just starting a little bit below the heart space, just because it spoke to me. Really.
So it's interesting. I didn't know the gong had a heart space. What other spaces are there that I'm not seeing?
Yeah. So like I said, we have the chakras. We just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is thought of the rim here is thought of as more of the ethereal part of the gong, and then we've got the heart of the gong, and they all just emit different vibrations and sensations and have a different effect. So depending on what's occurred in class, what we may have addressed in class, that might affect how I play down. Maybe we need grounding, for example, because we were in the ethers.
Hit lower?
Potentially, yes. That might be simply one way to approach the gong. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, is this symbol here, does that have meaning and significance?
Yes, this is my Saturn gong. So there's a series of planetary gongs. This is the Saturn gong. So it's aligned with the vibrations of the planet Saturn.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize. So Kundalini brings in astrology or astronomy?
It certainly has some connections with cosmology and the planets, and the gong is just one way to represent that.
Okay. Do you do one-on-one sessions?
Absolutely. I do private. Sometimes people come in because they're concerned about taking class and they want to know some of the nuances, or they just want to go a little bit deeper than what we're able to do in a public class. So absolutely.
Well, I know there's therapeutic yoga. Do you do that as well?
By nature, Kundalini Yoga is a healing practice. So
good answer.
I would be inclined to say indirectly, yes.
Okay, but if somebody came in and they had like a back problem or a shoulder problem, could you give them specific mantras, postures, breathing to help?
I would be very careful with postures because I would want to honor that person's body and make sure that they are absolutely safe and safe and protected in their own physicalness. There's certainly mantras and pranayams that we can use to address what may be going on, but if there's a problem with the back, there's probably something underneath that on a spiritual or emotional level, and that sometimes takes a little bit of time to become clear.
So what typically goes on in an individual session?
Well, it varies. What I would do is connect with that person and say, what are your intentions? Why are you coming here? And why are you coming to see me? And what do you hope to get out of this particular session? And then I'll just kind of mold the session to do the best that I can to support that person in their journey. Because it's not me, it's about the teachings. I'm just a channel for these teachings. So I make sure that the participant understands that.
And what about senior citizens, older people?
Yeah.
Are you finding these people are more drawn to yoga?
I find that this is wonderful that everyone is invited to Kundalini Yoga. So I have students that are in early 20s. I actually did my training with a woman in her mid-70s. Mm-hmm. So there's something for everybody in this. And when the postures get a little bit difficult, there's always modification. Mm-hmm. So the door is wide open.
And as far as modifications, are you using yoga props or?
We do use props occasionally in Kundalini Yoga, but it's not a prop-focused type of yoga. Mm-hmm. We let the energy be wise and do what it needs to do.
And so what kind of props would you use and why would you use them?
We use mats just like you would have in a typical yoga class, and then we invite students to sit on an item of natural fibers. For example, like a Mexican blanket, like a sarape. A lot of teachers and even students, when they get really connected with the practice, will sit on a sheepskin. It's very common that you'll see teachers, especially sitting on sheepskins, and there's a reason for that. What it does is we all have an electromagnetic field, which could be otherwise thought of as the auric body, the auric field. The earth also has its own electromagnetic field, and it's so strong, we don't want to be overwhelmed by it. So the sheepskin helps to insulate us from the draw of the earth's magnetic field so we can have our own experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting a sign that we got 2 minutes. What else do you want to talk about?
Do you have more questions for me, Jay?
Well, before we started, I asked about your name and the significance. Do you want to just say a few words about that?
Sure. My name, my destiny name, what we call it again, is Puranpreet Kaur. And Preet is a form in this lineage of unconditional love. Mm-hmm. So what Puranpreet means is my love for my soul is perfect and complete. And when I got that name...
So it's not a name you chose?
Correct. It was submitted to those that are much more connected than I am, and they consult the ethers, and they come up with the name. And often we're given names on things that we really need to work on in our lives. So my name, I find for myself, is quite a challenge, yeah. It challenges me every day, and I invite it into my beingness every day.
How does it challenge you?
Well, it asks me to look at things that are a challenge for me. So it's just, I know it has its purpose, and I do my best to honor it.
Well, it'd be difficult to live up to.
Very much so, and I do my best. I do my best.
Yeah. Let's see. What about teenagers? Are you seeing like yoga is now being taught in like some grade schools or high schools?
More and more. What I have been hearing is I have some friends who teach at CPS and Chicago Public Schools, and mindfulness is being brought into the schools now, which I think is absolutely fantastic to think that our children are being exposed to just conscious breathing. So thank God for that.
And the quiet, the looking inward. You mentioned earlier about people breaking bad habits when they practice yoga, and just that inward focus. Getting the signal to wrap up. Well, thank you. For more information about Infinity Foundation Inner Quest, stay tuned to the credits at the end. We wish you good health, good fortune, and good spirits. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much, Jay. My pleasure.
infinityfoundation.org or call us at 847-831-8828.